Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is a show that we do every single week on Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. It is our opportunity to come together as a comic book community and as comic book soldiers to spend some time just being together. And during this time, we talk about some news and current events, things that are top of mind for me and maybe top of mind for you. We give away a cool slab thanks to our friends at Go Collect. I give you a preview of the content that is going to be released from my channel. And above all else, we have a good time. And I want to say hello to all the comic book soldiers who are in the chat right now. I think a handful of you were here pretty early. Shout out to every comic book soldier that is in the live stream right now, but also those of you that are watching this thing back on playback. And if you, for some reason or another, have not subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do so because it will help me reach one of the goals that I've set for myself this year. A big, hairy, audacious goal, a BHAG goal has been established of reaching 21,000 subscribers in 2021. That is a big goal. And with your assistance, with you hitting that subscribe button, it gets me one step closer to achieving that goal. It also makes you eligible for the giveaways that we do every single week. And today we're going to be giving away this book right here. It is Nova issue number 1. It is a 9.0. And I will tell you, the book that we're going to give away this upcoming week, you do not want to miss out on. And so you definitely want to be notified when videos are released from the channel, because in one of those videos, there is going to be a phrase. That phrase will make you eligible for the books that we give away every single week, thanks to our friends over at Go Collect. So shout out to those guys. For more than 100 weeks strong, they have been putting me in a position to be able to give away some really cool stuff. So let me say hello to some comic book soldiers in here. Matt Woods is in here, one of the Blue Wrenches. He is welcoming everybody. Shout out to Matt Woods for welcoming folks, man, making people feel comfortable, for being here. Sidian, I think that's how you say it. TSP. Welcome to the live stream, brother. Congrats on the book that you picked up. I can't remember which one it was, but I saw it as I was scrolling through the feed right before going live. The OG, shout out to the OG. All respect to Tina. It is always good to see you, my friend. My man Doug is in here. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the chat earlier today. Jim is in here scrolling through. Chuck is in the house, as is Wes. Good to see you, brother. Marvel Decoded is also in here, scrolling through the names. My man DB is in the house. It is good to see you. Coms is in here. Welcome. I saw a super chat pop in, so I will acknowledge that in a hot second. Dave, it is good to see you. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I skipped over the more important one. Good evening, sir. It's good to see you, my friend. Sean is up in here. Thank you, brother, for notifying me earlier today that there are 3 seasons of Static Shock on HBO Max right now. Did not know it. I was too busy watching The Nick. I don't know if you guys have watched The Nick on HBO Max, but I started watching that show maybe a couple of years ago, and it finally popped up on HBO Max, so I'm watching that. But my man Sean hit me to the fact that Static Shock 3 seasons are on HBO Max, and so guess what? I'll be watching very soon. Shout out to Milestone Comics for putting out some good stuff over there. Scrolling through the names. There was a super chat. Where is it? I am scrolling. Where did it go? I missed it. There we go. Who is that? Coms. Thank you, brother. Feels great to be back on the live. Reggie, a legend. I don't know about a legend. But yes, Reggie, I am here and a proud member of the Giving Gang. Shout out to you, Coms. I definitely appreciate the Canadian love that you're sending my way, brother. It is good to see you. Did I just see a new person? Ryan, are you new? Ryan Davis. Let's acknowledge Ryan Davis. I don't know if you're new or not, brother, but welcome. Welcome to the robust chat that we are having right now. Chris Bigger is in the house. It's good to see you, my friend. Andrew, how you doing, brother? My man Andrew, I guess, is now the new Jerry, right? Because Jerry, at the end of every show on Sunday night, Jerry's like, Reggie, show the book. Can you just show the book? That is what Jerry actually says to me And you know what? We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun. Shout out to my man Andrew for being bold. I don't necessarily not like bold people because I can be a bold person myself. And sometimes that boldness gets rewarded. This week's book coming up is this one right here, X-Men 13, a 4.5. This is the second appearance of Juggernaut. This is the book that we are going to be giving away this upcoming week. So shout out to Andrew for taking the bold shot on goal. Next time someone tries that, I'm going to serve it right back. But in this case, we are going to acknowledge Andrew. Shout out to you, brother. Brittany Cruz. Anytime we see a lady in here, we are going to acknowledge it. Brittany, welcome to the live stream. CW, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you, my friend. All right, so let's go ahead and dig into some of the news. There has been so much crazy news happening right now. We are going to dig into some of it, man, because there's a lot of like both positive and negative stuff that is happening. But we are going to examine it and try to put, as always, a positive spin on it. Why? Because it's so easy to focus on the negative and to go into the dark hole. We're not going to do that. We are going to focus on some of the stuff, positive or negative, but we're also going to give a little bit of a spin to it sometimes, because in all things, there are different ways to look at something, either positively or negatively. And a lot of people tend to go negative because that's easy, but I want to give you a contrarian point of view as best I can for some of these things. So one of the crazy things that has been happening out there in the world of comics is that people are basically saying DC Comics is going to shut down. They're like, future state is a step in the direction of DC actually shutting down. I don't know whether that's true or not. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know whether it's true or not. I will tell you that a lot will be determined in some ways by the Q4 full year financial report that Warner will release at some point, right? Our companies are releasing their full 2020 reports right now. That is going to be very telling. And I say that because if they were going to make some substantive changes to DC Comics, you would assume that that is going to be disclosed from a fiduciary standpoint with shareholders. So a lot will be determined potentially by what we see in the annual report that comes out for 2020. Part of the challenge, of course, is that DC Comics is such it is a rounding error. DC Comics is a rounding error in some ways when you think about all that is Warner, right? But because of the comics and the TV shows and the movies, when you start to roll it up that way, maybe it becomes something that has to be disclosed. So we will see whether something actually shows up. But there have been a lot of people that have been making a lot of noise about the fact that DC is going to shut down. They are saying that because of DC Future State basically putting a halt for 2 months on a lot of the comics that were being released by DC. And then by DC not necessarily saying, here are all the titles that we're coming out with all at once. I think that, again, people have built a story, right? In one of my recent videos last week, I basically announced that DC had about 25 or so titles that they were going to be releasing starting in March, April, and May, with a lot of them actually coming in March. I think a handful of them were for short-lived titles, but the bulk of them were ongoing titles that were being announced. And we now know that there are some additional titles that are going to be released by DC here. And if I can get my windows ready, there are 11 surprise new titles that are actually being released by DC. And this is information that is available on Newsarama. DC announces 11 surprise new 2021 titles. And this was actually released at the comic book retailers annual meeting that was had. I want to say it was like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, something like that. And so you can see here that there are a handful of titles: Deathstroke Inc., Harley Quinn animated series sequel, Wonder Woman, 80th anniversary, Elseworld. You can see the list, right? Here's the list of those titles that are going to be coming out: Crushing Lobo, Nubia, and the Amazonians. A couple of cool titles here. It isn't really clear, I don't think, from the information that's been disclosed thus far, whether these are going to be titles that are digital first or whether they're going to be ongoing. I didn't necessarily see any details on that, but I did find it interesting that there were a couple of quotes here. It says, The publisher also announced their intention to participate in Free Comic Book Day on August 14th, another annual event that has traditionally happened the first Saturday in May. That is important, again, in my head, because people are saying come June, DC will not be around. That is some of the rumors. Some of the rumors is that Warner is shutting DC down. Boom. Some other rumors out there are that DC is going to go all digital come June. This is a sign, again, if they're participating in Free Comic Book Day, that means that they are still printing comics, right? In my head, that's how I read it, right? With Free Comic Book Day happening August 14th, they said here's another quote or another section here. It says, the publisher reports its virtual presentation to the retailer-only audience, including DC publisher and chief creative officer Jim Lee, new SVP and general manager Daniel Cherry, and editor-in-chief. We've spoken about Marie before in previous videos. It says with Lee, they were all with Lee, and it says reaffirming DC's commitment to publishing comic books and the direct market. So again, I think that this was definitely put in there for a reason, to basically send a message, again, in my head, that DC is planning to continue producing comics. But again, others will view this as they're going to produce some, but not all. So it depends upon where one's head is, how you interpret some of what is out there. I just issue cautionary notes for people to be careful what it is that you believe, because there's so much conflicting information that is out there. So scrolling through some of the comments here, I see something about floppy, and I really don't know what that's going on with what that's about. So I'm scrolling through it. Steve says, I absolutely do not believe DC Comics is shutting down. Again, comic books are roughly $1 billion market. And I think that that's $1 billion market with floppies and graphic novels. DC has roughly 30% of the market, which is not necessarily chump change, right? Yes, they had a lot of expenses, but a lot of those expenses, whether you're talking about their offices in New York City, or you're talking about all of the editorial staff that they had, a lot of those things have been addressed by them relocating from New York to Burbank, by reducing the editorial staff, by trimming things back, and by streamlining things in terms of the service offerings that they have, by putting things on HBO Max versus DC Unlimited, et cetera, et cetera. They have essentially trimmed the fat. So you're making $30 million. You're probably keeping realistically a healthier amount of that money versus what you were giving away in terms of salaries and rent and all of that other kind of stuff. So I don't know. Scrolling through some of the comments here. What is this? Yeah, Chuck says, no go on the digital, gotta hold that comic in my mitts. I will tell you that I like reading digital because it's easier for me, right? Just with my life and activity, it's easier for me to read digital stuff, but I still also buy physical copies. Like, I am literally surrounded in this room by comics in physical form because I like them. I'm a collector, I'm a reader, I like tangible stuff. Like, there's paper everywhere in here. There's a nice stack of DC Comics sitting right over here to my left because I like physical copies. So I definitely respect where you're coming from. And I will tell you, when you look at the percentage of the comic sales in that $1 billion market that is actually digital, the last time I looked at that number, it was not a whole lot. It was not like a stupid number. So the vast majority of comic sales are still physical. The idea that somebody's going to walk away from that kind of money, for why? For why would you do it? Especially if you are trimming back your expenses and getting more nimble, it puts you in a position to be able to still make that money, still produce those books, produce better books because you're now, a tighter ship. I don't know. I don't see them walking away from physical, but I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. Scrolling through the comments here. Brandon likes floppy comics. Brandon, he really likes floppy comics. DC needs to drop some of the prices on their books. Chris Bigger says they needed, and I will tell you, there are some people. I saw a guy on Instagram. I actually unfollowed him, but he was throwing a finger to his DC comic books because he had reserved with his local comic shop copies of the next Batman, which have a high cover price, right? I think the next Batman books are basically like $7.99, but they're also oversized issues. He did not realize that they were oversized issues, had them reserved. He did the right thing by buying them, but he didn't like the fact that he now had to pay $7.99 for the book and it wasn't a full Batman story. I get it, but you can't, I don't know. Are they expensive? Yes. But a couple of questions to the LCS owner also reveals that things are pretty expensive. But I buy my next Batman book because I kind of enjoy the book. I really do enjoy the book. So I definitely get people saying lower the price. I definitely get it. Not only are comics better to hold, but digital comics can increase. Well said, brother. That is legit. That is a legit statement right there. I like digital for the convenience of it and for the fact that I can read it and stop it in the middle and I can still be out with my family versus being here locked away with like a physical copy. But I still buy, I get both. I get the digital because I like it and it's convenient, but I still read my comics because I love collecting comics. That is just what I've always done. So scrolling through some of the comments here. Seeing easy to make $1 million when your books are $1 a pop. Scrolling through some of the comments here. See what there was a comment. I missed it. What is this? Almighty Liger King, Yara Floor is the most promising of the future state with Red X. I think I would agree with that. I think I would agree with that, man. The Yara Flora character, I find her to be interesting. I think she's a fun character. I definitely dig her. I think the Red X thing definitely has a nostalgic play for a lot of people that watched the New Teen Titans cartoon back in the day. And one of the things that I've been pondering in my head is could Red X potentially be like a Harley Quinn, right? And I say that because if you guys think about Harley Quinn, she is popular because of the cartoon or the animated series. She came over to Batman Adventures 12. That book has performed incredibly well. Is Red X following in that vein? I don't know. And that's kind of, if you think back to my DC, what comes next after Future State, basically I was pondering those very thoughts at the time. Because we now know that Red X is now in the DC universe. We now know that he is going to be appearing in not just Teen Titans, but he's also going to be appearing in Teen Titans Academy, which is like a play off of, I think, like Strange Academy. So it is going to be, I think I would definitely agree with this statement that those two characters are like a 1-2. And as we alluded to, I think in something that's going to be coming out to you guys, it will be interesting to see how this plays out moving forward and what DC decides to do with these characters, because I think that will determine a lot. So scrolling through, what is this? Comics Are Great says, I refuse to continue purchasing DC comics that have more than one story and cost more than $5.99. I respect it, brother. You have to do what you have to do. I respect it. Scrolling through, DB says he passed on them as well. I respect it. Everybody has a budget, man. Everybody has a budget. I respect those that are deciding that they're not going to mess with it. When they release digital and floppies at the same time, does it hurt the LCS? I think you're probably getting a no to that, right? To some degree or another. Oh man, I've just realized I'm actually on, I'm on Wi-Fi. I'm actually going to try to switch over, and we will see whether that causes any problems. I literally just switched over to Wi-Fi, from Wi-Fi to my hard line, and we will see whether that has any issues for you guys. Let me scroll down and make sure that people can still see me. Can I get somebody to type something for me there we go. Okay. Is it just me as Reggie picture? Yeah, because I just switched over. Thank you, Jeff. I just noticed the Wi-Fi signal off in the corner of my screen and realized that things were a little messed up. So hopefully this clears things up. Thank you. I just looked up here in the corner as I'm looking at 100 or so people creep into the room here and realized that I was on Wi-Fi, which is something I never do, especially because of the video stream. So you guys definitely have my apologies for watching that low grade video there for a hot second. So sorry about that. Scrolling through, it looks better on my side now. Thank you guys for that. Sorry, you definitely have my apologies for that. There's a reason why I run a hard line from the modem all the way back here to this room. There's a reason for it, because trying to do this thing via Wi-Fi does not work. So you guys definitely have my apologies that you guys can actually see me. Comics Are Great says, I think DC is building their future base with Punchline, Red X, Yara Floor. You could potentially throw in there like Clown Hunter, and there's a couple of characters, right? Punchline. There's a couple of characters that they've introduced recently, I think, with DC, that they have some momentum. I think that they have some momentum, and the question will become, can they keep it going? Can they keep that momentum going? Fingers crossed that they start to release some excellent comics that will allow them to maintain that moving forward. You know what I'm saying? So low grade is better. I'm mad at myself now because my intro, if you came in late, my intro was dope. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like on fire with my intro. Now I can't even use the intro in other means because the quality is probably not so good. So yeah, man, we messed up. We missed a great opportunity here. We missed a great opportunity. So scrolling through. All right, cool. So I think I'm all caught up with that. The big thing with this first segment is making sure that everyone was aware that DC has just announced an additional 11 surprise titles at a retailer segment or summit just a few days ago. This is on top of the 25 titles that I notified you guys of in my video that was released last week on what comes next for Future State. So what we are seeing from DC is that they are slowly but surely dribbling out, for whatever crazy reason, details on what comes next. And so we will see what other surprises they will have for us as we move forward. All right, so that was the first announcement right there. So let me clear that off the screen. So the other big news that dropped, because there's a lot of big news, but the other big news that we are going to focus on is Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane gave us a heads up. He gave us like a solid 24 hours earlier this week where he was like, big news is a coming. And I don't know if he actually said that, but that's what he meant. He was like, big news is a coming. Buckle up, because it's about to get interesting. So Todd McFarlane, I think he released it just on Instagram. That's where I saw it. Shout out to She Spawn for just being on top of everything that is Todd McFarlane. But Todd McFarlane just drops all kinds of news. He dropped all kinds of news, which has so many ramifications for Spawn fans, because they immediately started looking for surplus funds. Spawn fans did, because they know what is a coming with Todd McFarlane making some announcements that he is about to make some crazy magic happen. So Todd McFarlane expands the Spawn comic book with 4 new ongoing titles. And so he basically announced in Instagram, at least again, that's where I saw it, that he is about to unveil the Spawn universe, or Spawn's universe. And this thing has been basically roughly 29 years in the making. Spawn's universe is coming. And I'll be honest with you, I am not at all surprised that Todd McFarlane has decided to do this. And I say that because Todd is a super smart businessman. He did not have a universe, unlike so many other people out there that have essentially created universes, whether you're talking about publishers and in some cases creators, create these universes in which they have multiple characters and teams that operate within that universe. Todd McFarlane has not done that until now. And so he is basically rolling out Spawn's universe very, very soon. I think it's going to be a one-shot that is actually going to come out called Spawn's Universe, that is basically going to like lay the foundation for how this universe is structured. What's really interesting about all of this, I do believe, is that Todd McFarlane is not doing any of the creative work. He's not doing any of the creative work. And I don't think that he has been doing a whole lot of creative hands-on work with comics for some time. By and large, like ongoing kind of stuff. I think he drops in every once in a while and does some work, but I think he has taken a hands-off approach. And as you read this article right here that is on Newsarama, it basically alludes to the fact that he has brought on and assembled a really wonderful team of amazing creators, both writers as well as artists that are going to work on these titles that he is going to roll out later this year. He has taken kind of sort of like a hands-off approach. He's like, here's the idea, here's the universe, here are the characters, go make magic. He's like, let your imaginations run wild. And if you get too crazy, I will gut check you, but go and do what it is that you do by being creative. And so if you see here on screen right now, you're actually looking at Spawn's universe, one of the covers. This is actually if you guys can see that, no, you cannot see my pop-up. So let me get rid of that. It is actually a J. Scott Campbell cover. So he has teamed up again with some super powerful, super talented people to do some really awesome stuff. And one of the covers for Spawn's universe that we've seen is a J. Scott Campbell. Now, what was also interesting about this is it feels like we are going to see some Todd McFarlane, Donny Cates type of magic get made, because he was a little elusive. Yeah, a little elusive, ambiguous. I don't know. He was like Donny Cates, Donny Cates. And so there was a couple of cryptic posts that went up by he and Donny Cates. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But he says, I've been formulating this for months and months. I didn't want to bring her in until we were ready to pull the trigger, but we're here now and I'm dropping it. This is what Todd was basically saying. Let me see if there's another good quote in here that we can talk about with Todd as I scroll through this thing. He's got the long list of names right there. Greg Capullo, Mark Silvestri, longtime collaborators right there. Arthur Adams, J. Scott Campbell. Who else is in here? Scrolling through, David Finch, super talented guy right there. I says, no, I don't want that quote right there. Let me see. He says, come to me with your biggest idea and I'll tell you if it breaks anything I have planned or in store. If it does, I'll give you options on how to make your story work. If it doesn't, that's awesome too. Let's say that you want X character to get married to this other character, but they're already married. Okay, I guess we'll have to divorce them to make it happen, but we'll get it there. And he just kind of highlights that this whole thing, this whole Spawn's universe has been something that has been like 37 years in the making since he first, created, since he first came into the industry, did some great things with Marvel, and then segued over into founding Image, and then also introducing Spawn. So it is going to be very, very interesting how this thing looks. And I think he introduced that there's basically going to be 4 ongoing titles. So there's, I think it's like King Spawn, there's Gunslinger Spawn, there's like a team book, and then there's the ongoing Spawn series. And the character like the Redeemer, the medieval Spawn, and the Gunslinger Spawn, I haven't read any of those books that involve these characters. And I actually started reading Spawn 12. Started reading Spawn 12 just a few days ago. I've had this book in my collection for a very, very long time. Never really read it. And so now I'm trying to read it in anticipation of what is to come from Todd McFarlane later this year. And I think the very first book, The King Spawn, is actually dropping, I want to say like around July or August or something like that. And I think the very last book drops in December. So he has a relatively long runway ahead of him, but he is making the announcement now for what is to come a little bit later in the year. Todd Father does indeed like to make a splash, man. He is not messing around. And like I was saying earlier, I got a little off track. I think that he is a smart businessman. And I think where this is going to end up going, man, is movies, TV shows, ongoing series, right? I mean, he is basically laying a foundation that will take him into the next few decades by creating this shared universe, by introducing pretty dope characters. I think that is what he's trying to do. Is he sees what is happening with the MCU. He sees what DC is trying to do, and I think my man wants in on the action, and I respect it. I respect him as a creator, but also as a businessman as well. And he sees the numbers, so I think so. She Spawn is all over it. She Spawn is not messing around. She really isn't. She really is not messing around with this stuff. And again, I heard a collective gasp as the news came out, because I think people were like, okay, where am I going to find the cash for all of the covers that Todd McFarlane is about to release, because he is going to come correct. He is going to do it incredibly well, and it's going to be fun to watch. It really is. So let me scroll through some of the comments here, see if I missed anything as I was going on. There we go. Gerald says medieval Spawn, gunslinger Spawn, OG Spawn. There's also the Redeemer that is also going to be playing in there. The Redeemer was the other character, I guess a Spawn from Heaven. That was what I remember. But again, I haven't read any of these books, so I'm actually trying to read some of these books now to get myself up to speed with what is actually going to go on. So, yeah, there's definitely going to be some Donny Cates stuff, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, right? Because it wasn't certain to me whether he was going to potentially writing one of these books that was going to be coming out, or whether he was going to be doing something separate, whether there was going to be something involving crossover, because there's been this whole, they've been teasing like crossover with Spawn kind of stuff. So I don't know where Donny Cates is going to be, but Donny Cates is a dark dude in so many ways, right? And I don't mean that negatively at all. He's a darker kind of guy. And if you're talking about, Satan and creatures from hell, Donny Cates is a great guy to work with, right? And at present, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, he is ending his run on Venom come Venom issue number 200. What else does he have going on? What's the next Donny Cates project? Like, I haven't heard anything as to what comes next for Donny Cates. Or have we? That is like the case. That is like the question right now. It's dark. It's a dark read, Reggie Gary. I might need to keep the lights on when I read this one, man. Crossover is pretty darn good, man. I'm gonna tell you, Storm, I have copies of it. I still have not read it. I just recorded a really awesome video I'll tell you guys about in a little bit, 2 videos actually. And in one of those videos, I mentioned that I still had not read Crossover. I've heard nothing but great things about it. Still have not read it, but I hope to be able to get it. Matt says, I have the first and second Gunslinger Spawn at CGC right now. Wish me luck. I think I do too. I actually think I have both of those. I sold off. I had several cover copies of them. I want to say that I sent the best of each one of those into CGC a little while ago. So fingers crossed that we all get 9.8s on those books, because you better believe some Spawn books are about to flood into to CGC. I have a feeling that it is about to go down. If Cates goes over to Image, can Image take over DC within a year or so? Ooh. That's a man. I think anything is possible, brother. I think anything is possible. I think anything is. One of the things I'm actually learning a little bit more and more about is how Image is structured. What's interesting is that Image does not, and I think you guys know this, Image doesn't own characters. Characters are owned by the individual creators. Image does the publishing and distribution, and I think the creators pay a fee, but the characters are still owned by the artists. And I kind of know that because I'm about to do a video, and I was reading in some of the details who actually owns some of these characters. And again, it is that line of demarcation where Image doesn't own it. But that's a separate question from what was just asked. And it will be very interesting. It will be very interesting to see what happens if Donny Cates takes all of his talents for himself and moves over to Image and starts to do things under that umbrella. It will be very interesting to see how that plays out. So let me scroll down. Let me acknowledge the super chat, because I'm just like ripping it up over here, ad-libbing. My man, Super Honorable Nephew, he says, want to thank you, Reg, and this community for the kindness, man. Brother, there was so much kindness, I think, running your way, my man. Congrats, brother, for just keeping a positive attitude, my man, because, we are all going through some craziness in different ways. But the question is always, how do you choose to handle it? and I saw how you handled the adversity that you were going through. Hats off to you, brother. And I think that what you are seeing from the comic book community flow to you in the form of AOKs is a reflection of the good things that you put out. I think that is a true reflection of who you are and how you show up when you show up. So shout out to you, brother, for that right there. Scrolling through the comments here. If anyone uses one of the box cutters, you are guaranteed a 9.8. Too bad we can't get any more of these. These are like my last two. These are my last two. And this one, that is all that is left on this one. Can you guys see that? That's all that is left on this box cutter. There is nothing left in the chamber because I use these bad boys like nobody's business. This one's a little bit longer. This one's a little bit longer. We have some time on that one. But inventory is definitely low as I'm down to 2 right now. Scrolling through the comments. All right. So we wanted to what is this? Regie, anything new about Milestone coming back? Yeah, we actually talked about that, Austin. We talked a little bit about that on the Comics Today show on Wednesday. I gave folks a preview. I'll see if I can remember stuff because, again, I'm just pulling from memory. Shout out to my man Sean who gave me a heads up that there are 3 episodes of the Static Shock animated series on HBO Max right now. I did not know about that, but now you know. So you can tell a friend that the Static is on the HBO Max. That is there. I want to say that the titles associated with Milestone were delayed 2 months, but they are still planning to bring them back. And whatever that is, I'm guessing July, August. I could be off on my time, so you guys excuse me for that. But it's been delayed about 2 months. There are a couple of titles that they are going to bring back. And at present, they're all going to be digital. There was no news at the time of my reporting on Wednesday that these were going to be print. They were all going to be digital releases, some of which was going to be new content. So that is what I remember. So there you go. That is all that I have to report back out on that one. All right. So scrolling through some of the comments here. Yeah, they're going to come out with a new one shot that's basically, I think, going to like level set everybody. I think that was it. I think it's Milestone 0 or something like that. I could be totally making that one up. All right, cool. So let me keep it moving forward. That was one of the, so we talked, I don't even remember what the first thing was that we talked about. The second thing was Todd McFarlane. We definitely talked about Todd McFarlane. So the last thing that is on my list, is some news that I think has to some degree or another reverberated a little bit around the comic book community. I think that there are some people that have some awareness of this, but I don't think everybody is aware of it. So we want to talk a little bit about it just so that there's actually some awareness of it right now. I'll show you guys this right here. I will tell you that I'm not a huge fan of this website, because I feel like there is journalism and then there's gossip. And I think that this one kind of spills more towards the gossip side of things. In many cases, not in all, but in many cases, I feel like it's a little more gossipy than it is reporting. And as a communication major, School of C. Howard University, I like journalism. I like to just report out on the facts and allow the reader, the viewer to decide, kind of where the head is, right? So it was recently announced that Diamond has closed one of its distribution centers. Diamond has closed one of its DCs, and specifically it is the one in New Memphis. And this was a relatively Memphis, Tennessee. This was a facility that they bought a while ago that they recently overhauled and improved. They have now shut down that distribution center. And in many ways, they have shut this thing down because of finances. They shut it down because of the money, right? They earlier, last year, 2020, as many of you know, Diamond basically ceased distribution, which many local comic shop owners will tell you was the right thing to do for them to cease distribution, because by doing so, it did not require local comic shops to continue paying bills for books that they could not sell that Diamond would have been sending them. So Diamond shut down. They stopped shipping comics They also reduced their workforce, and I think many of their distribution centers they ceased they ceased distribution and cut back the workforce in an effort to kind of survive, right? And so there was a lot of noise made about what does that mean for Diamond moving forward. Diamond made a lot of statements about we are financially strong, we are here, we will be here. Some publishers came out in support of what Diamond had done. We're going to be here with Diamond when things resume. Diamond has come back online, of course, and started distributing comics, but they recently again shut down this one facility. And in many ways, they shut it down because, as I mentioned earlier in this live stream, 30% of sales, if you will, come from DC, and DC made a decision to move away from Diamond for whatever reason, and that impacted Diamond's ability to have all of these distribution centers. So in response to not having as much revenue and DC continuing down the path that it's gone down, Diamond decided to cut that distribution center. And my heart definitely goes out to all of those factory warehouse workers that have lost their jobs as a result of this change. And so what does it say? Publishers here were told that the new Memphis center is closed immediately, and they should route any product either to the Olive Branch location or the Plattsburgh distribution center. So that's something to keep in mind, is that Diamond is headquartered, I do believe, in Baltimore, Maryland, but they had 3 distribution centers and they have now trimmed it back to 2. I want to say Baltimore is still a distribution center, but it's not stated in this article, so I don't want to mislead people on that one. And the article goes on here from Bleeding Cool, that was the site that I was alluding to, pointing out here that 2020 was a tough year for Diamond. Yes, it was a tough year for Diamond and everyone else out there. But they highlight some of the reasons why. They talk about what's going on with Lunar and UCS and DC Comics, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to kind of give people some insight into the fact that this distribution center has shut down. Definitely some sad news for all those people that have lost their jobs. What are the long-term ramifications? I don't know. I really don't know what the long-term ramifications are. I will tell you that distribution centers are not cheap to have, right? Having a warehouse full of comics and having employees and all of that stuff that goes along with that's an expense. And if you don't have enough revenue coming in on one side and you're bleeding out of the other side, you have to do the smart thing you have to stop the hemorrhaging. So potentially, this won't have any lasting ramifications for Diamond, but only time will tell whether this is a step towards them failing, which I don't think it is, or it's a step towards them getting themselves on more sure footing. Now, what's really fascinating is that just last week, people were basically saying that Stephen Jeppy, I think that's how you say his last name, the guy that owns Diamond, people were just saying last week, early in the week, that he was going to buy DC Comics, that he was going to license all of the characters from Warner and basically start publication of DC Comics himself. I have not heard anyone in the back half of the week kind of explain how that might happen, given that Diamond is shutting down their distribution. But again, this is just an illustration that there are so many different rumors that exist out there about what is actually happening, that it's really tough to discern what is true. Right? It is really hard because there's so many different rumors, and many of the rumors conflict themselves, and honestly, in some cases, actually do not make sense, at least to me. So I just throw this stuff out there for you guys to be able to at least have some awareness. What does it say? Regie, just sell your 100K and go. There was actually and I can't remember. There was actually a creator team out there that is like, hey, if DC is selling or licensing out, we want to buy this character. And I think it was like Power Girl. I think that was like a husband and wife team. It was like, look, we will jump on the Kickstarter and we will raise money to buy Power Girl right now from DC. So I thought that was really interesting. Everybody is now trying to get in the game. Yeah, what is this? Bleeding Cool also reported that fans are buying DC. Yes, there was that rumor as well. There was the rumor that a group of fans were getting together to band their money together to raise, I think it was like $300 million or something like that. Then there was the creator thing that came out. There's just so much. There's so much out there, there's so much that it's just really, really tough to know what the truth is. There was another super chat. Wacky Comics, Whack Comics. Yeah. Hey, Reggie, you're doing a 24-hour live stream on the last day of the month, raising money for charity and doing a bunch of giveaways. Would love for you to pop in for a bit. What I would say, my friend, is reach out to me and let's have a conversation about it. I will tell you that I'm getting a lot of requests to be on things, which I think is really great, but I do not want to commit to something that I cannot actually do and do well. And so what I would say to you is reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's see if we can make that magic happen, because I need to know more. I have probably a dozen questions that I could ask you right now that I will ask you in private when you reach out to me to see whether this is a good fit or not. Comics Are Best. He says, I used to work at Midtown Comics Warehouse. It's amazing. Man, I'm going to tell you, I won't get into the details, but you guys know that I sell drugs. I sell legal drugs, right? We have distribution centers. We have manufacturing plants. When you look at the numbers involved for having a distribution center, it is not chump change. It is like real money, right? And there's also real people's lives that are involved in it. There are people that literally work there, that pack the boxes, that ship the boxes, that do the this, that do the that are being affected. So comics are great. Thank you, brother, for the real world example right there. Has Reggie ever done a video on diamond history? I love to learn how they grew to basically be a monopoly and how they were helped. I have spoken about it previously. Marvel and DC did it. That's the long and short of it. Marvel and DC basically helped Diamond to become a monopoly, and they did so because it was in their best interest to actually do it. The distribution of comics was just so fragmented early on that it was chaos. DC and Marvel were each doing distribution. They were not doing distribution well. There were like at one point 12 different distributors that were out there, and it was chaos. There was no good data. There was no good data on like how many books were being sold, how many books were being returned, right? It was chaos. And, Marvel and DC basically worked some magic where they literally either acquired something and shut it down, or had something and shut it down to basically make way for Diamond to rise. And they did it because it was in their best interest to do it. And in fact, I want to say I pointed out to somebody, and you can search this online because I'm a big fan of that. I believe that DC actually had a clause in a contract with Diamond whereby they could have bought Diamond. DC could have bought Diamond. And I want to say that the clause expired at some point in 2020. But again, Google it. Use the Google machine, and the details are out there. Sometimes I do make things up because, again, I do sell drugs, so you just never quite know with me. All right. But yeah, it was a fragmented distribution system, and Diamond came in and made a lot of really great changes where publishers were getting paid on time. Paperwork was moving around the right way. We had data where we now know through Comic-Con how many books have actually been sold. Where did the books get shipped? We know a lot more because of Diamond. And at one point, there was some stuff that happened where Diamond literally was spending, I want to say like $40,000 a day in order to ensure that local comic shops actually received their comics in a timely manner, because they were trying to come up and they were trying to do the right thing. And they were literally spending $40,000 a day in order to have trucks drive comics to local comic shops. I think when there was like a trucker strike or something like that. But again, all this information is out there. I only made up like maybe 30% of it just because that's just what happens. Scrolling through the comments. All right. I think I'm all caught up. I am all caught up. What is this? Regie as the demographics of the hobby is older. Is your feeling? What is your feeling about the future? So I don't know that the demographics are older. What I would say to you is that try to find some data on that. Try to find some data on the average age of the comic book collector that is out there. And what I will tell you is that there isn't any data. I've looked extensively for this data, and I've been unable to find it. I've been unable to find any data that helps us to understand how big the comic book community is, how many people are buying comics, what the age of the comic collector is, what the demographic makeup is. It is really tough. And so because I could not find any reliable data that is like within the last 10 years, I actually did a couple of surveys. We did some market research surveys right here on the channel. If you search for Regie Collect Survey or something like that, you should be able to find the videos that I've put out there that actually where I give you the data. And I'm like, here's the breakdown of the collector to reader to speculator to investor makeup. Here's I think I even do male, female. I do the age of people. How long have you been collecting? So there are data out there that I've generated and made available because I've been unable to find data. What I will tell you is I don't know if I believe that the average age of comic book collectors is skewing one way or the other. I don't know that I believe that, right? When you look at some of the data, it shows that there are some younger people that are involved in comics. But one thing to keep in mind is that the people that watch my channel tend to be in my age bracket. That's where the vast majority of my viewers are because I think of my age. They tend to be in that age with a little bit this way older and a little bit younger. If we were to go to maybe like a Comic Tom who was younger than me or some of these other guys that are younger than me, what would their data look like? What would their demographics look like? Is it skewing based upon their age? These are all important things to kind of think about when you think about data. A little bit of bias, right? A little bit of bias because of who my audience is. So again, if you do a quick search on it, you can actually find some of that stuff. There is really no actual way to find out the demographics of our hobby unless a census. There, you see what I'm saying? It would be, you would have to do a larger market research project to really be able to get to that. And it could be done, but somebody would have to have the financial resources and the desire to do it to answer a specific question, right? As a marketer, I do it all the time for my job because, when you're selling drugs, you need to know more about your customer. So you spend money on the research to better understand the customer so that you can sell more drugs, right? So I don't know how I keep getting the conversation back to drugs, but we are going to keep this thing moving on. I actually really do like the questions. I love the questions because it allows me to pontificate on a few different things. So I want to give you guys a heads up on some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. And then we're going to go ahead and get on to the giveaway for this Nova issue number 1 9.0 with white pages that one of you will walk away with very, very soon. So I'm going to be releasing a couple of videos this week, videos that I'm honestly proud of. There is one I'm going to release on Rob Liefeld. And the question is, should we invest in Rob Liefeld? And this is a question that I actually kind of sort of teed up a couple of weeks ago. I'm continuing to think about Rob and some of the things that have recently been announced that Rob is involved in. And the question becomes, should we invest in Rob Liefeld? And this is not in any way, shape, or form a video that will be critical of Rob Liefeld because I don't like thumbs down on my videos from Rob Liefeld lovers. So it is a biased examination and pontification on if we should invest in Rob Liefeld. On Wednesday, we will have the Comics Today show, and I am working on an awesome guest for that show. So hopefully you guys will tune in for that on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. There's another video that's going to be coming out. One of the questions that I get from people a lot is, should I buy one major comic or should I buy smaller keys? We are going to try to examine that. This is something that we've looked at in the past, and I was inspired to do another video on this topic based upon a conversation with a consultant that I had, and then some work that I did, some research. And so, is it better to buy one grail or multiple keys? We are going to discuss that, and it's going to be a little bit of a scientific kind of discussion, which is going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. And then the one video that I've been super excited about releasing to you guys, the overview of this video has been watched by more than 1,500 people, which is kind of cool because it was just an overview. So I'm expecting at least like 5 times that to watch the actual data. But I have teamed up with CGC to start releasing data, what I'm calling an indicator video, which will be a leading indicator potentially of what will happen down the line, because what I'm going to be reporting out on are the top 10 comics that have been submitted to CGC to be graded. And if you think about it, so much of the data that we think about now, the lists that come out, all of these data are based upon sales data, which is historical. It is what has already transpired, what has happened. If we are looking at what has been submitted to CGC, that is a leading indicator, because the book first has to be submitted and graded before it can be sold, right? So this is a leading indicator potentially of what will happen in the market. And I think that there's lots of ways that readers, investors, collectors, speculators, just regular people, even if you aren't any of those things, you just want to be entertained. Hopefully the video will at least be entertaining. The very first one of those videos is dropping this week, and I am very excited about it. To be honest with you, I'm excited because I pitched it to CGC. Within one day, they were like, "We are in," which was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. And now we are releasing the video. I will tell you, the first video, a little rocky, little rocky. Second video, I think, is going to be better. But I think both videos will be informative and possibly also entertaining. That one video for December, we are basically going to do December of 2020. Then we're going to do January of 2021. And then we're going to sort out February after that. So these videos will be coming out. And I want to encourage you guys to check them out, because it's definitely something that I think is going to be awesome for us to have some insight into. So there was another super chat that dropped in, so I want to acknowledge that before it disappears. Steve Brown, shout out to you, brother. He says, have you seen the trailer for the upcoming Amazon Prime series Invincible? As a fan of the comic book series, it looks amazing. Yes, Steve, we talked about that when it first dropped, like a month and a half ago. It looks amazing. It looks amazing. And it also looks like a great reunion of the Walking Dead cast, because I think that there's like 6 people that have been in Walking Dead that are going to be part of this thing. The voice cast for Invincible is incredible. It really is incredible. Pardon the pun. Well, I guess it's Invincible, but close enough. I can't wait for it to drop. I'm not a big cartoon person, never really read Invincible, but people seem to be excited about it. I think the quality of the voice cast and the quality of how that animated trailer looked warrants a watch. So I'm looking forward to it to dropping. And Steve, thank you, brother, for the super chat. I definitely appreciate it. I think this is the first time I've seen your name. So welcome to the live stream. And again, thank you very much for the super chat. I absolutely appreciate it. So those are some of the videos that are going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. We're going to be releasing one podcast on Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific time, one blog post on Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So a lot of really great content. And if I get frisky, I may release a bonus video. I have to decide whether I want to release the January top 10 submitted books this week or next week. It's already recorded. I need to figure out the timing of when I want to do that. So stay tuned for that. But a lot of really good content that is going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. All right. So scrolling through, yeah, I need to start, man. There's so many books that I haven't read that I need to read. It's like a never ending list. It is a never ending list of just really dope stuff that you don't know about, that you become aware of, and then you read it and you're like, why did I not jump on this sooner? That's how I feel like some of these are actually going to be. All right. So scrolling through the comments here. So let's go ahead and get ready to give away this Nova issue number 1. Let's go ahead and give this thing away. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we are going to roll these dice and see how many times we are going to have to randomize our list. And we have rolled 12. It has been a while. It has been a while since we've rolled a 12, but that is what we have rolled. And we are going to randomize this list a total of 12 times. And then we're going to give away this cool book. All right. So here are the list. Here's the list of all the names of individuals that were able to successfully find the phrase embedded in one of the videos that was released last week. That is how this thing works. Videos come out Monday through Thursday, and in one of those videos is a phrase. You capture that phrase, you head to the community tab, you click the link that is in the post, you head to MailChimp, you plug in 3 pieces of information. One of them is the phrase that was embedded in the video. And if you need details on that, if you search here on YouTube for Regie Collects Go Collect giveaway, there's a full video that will walk you through it. All right, so let's go ahead and randomize this thing 12 times. That is 1. I am in the wrong window. Scrolling down, that is 2 out of 250 names. One person is going to be an awesome winner. That is 3. Here is 4. Here is 5. That is 6. We are halfway there, people, to giving away Nova issue number 1, a 9.0 with white pages. And definitely stay tuned. If you missed it earlier, I'm actually going to show you the new book that is going to be given away this upcoming week. And it is a pretty awesome book. Here is 10. This is 11. And the winner of this week's Go Collect giveaway is Diz out of focus. I think that's how you say that. Diz out of focus, y'all. Like I was earlier in this live stream, completely out of focus because I was on the Wi-Fi instead of the hard wire. So shout out to Diz out of focus. You, sir or ma'am, are the winner of this awesome book right here. Nova issue number 1 and 9.0 with white pages. Please send me an email to Regie@regiecollects.com with your screen name, your government name, your mailing address, and I will bundle this book up and send it out to you in a timely manner. And congrats to you. This is actually this is a nice new poly bag, man. That thing is nice. I didn't even take it out of it because it's so nice. All right, so congrats to you. And I will tell you that the last week's book has also already been given away. So nothing to claim there for second place. All right. Now, with that said, where is Jerry? Is Jerry in here? I haven't seen him all day. Haven't seen Jerry all day. So I'm going to assume, and my chat just froze. Bear with me, people, as I share my screen one more time to hopefully unfreeze my screen. Bear with me, please. There we go. Screen is back. Remove that. Shut that down. All right. Jerry is not here. I don't think Jerry is here. Who is that? Show us the next book. Filling in for bearded black comic characters. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Andrew, because Andrew demanded that the book be shown in the first 15 minutes of the show, and I actually did. Here it is. This is this upcoming week's book. It is X-Men issue number 13. It is a 4.5 with off-white pages. This is the second appearance of Juggernaut. Really, really awesome book that is going to be given away to one lucky subscriber simply for watching the videos that come out from the channel over the course of this week. So all you have to do is watch the videos, capture the phrase, plug it in, and then tune in to next week's show right here, Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, to find out if you are the winner. I'm telling you, I try to step my game up. And find you guys some good books. And I think, the goal, and I mentioned this to you guys before, I think my goal is going to be to try to get more keys, but possibly in a lesser grade, right? Because what I'm dealing with, of course, is trying to stay between, $150 and $200. And I tend to try to get, books like this, higher grade stuff, but there's a cost for that. There's a cost for that when I can do the same kind of book, but again, give you something from, 1965. That's a relatively low number X-Men book. That's not bad, even at a 4.5. So as best I can, I'm going to try to offer these things up to you guys. And I would encourage you to, again, continue watching the videos, continue to comment on the videos, continue to like the videos. And I say that because the more interaction we have, the more views we have, it puts me in a position to do stuff. And I'm telling you that for a reason. I'm telling you that because I am trying to do stuff, and I just need you guys to continue doing what it is that you do. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to hit the subscribe button, because those numbers, when I talk to people, those numbers those numbers count. All right. So let me scroll through some of the comments here. Let me make sure. Make sure. Great. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate that. Chris Bigger has claimed to go collect book. He just has to win. I mean, it's his. It literally, I will write Chris Bigger's name on this thing right now. Then he just has to win to actually receive it. You know, there's like a stepwise process to get this done. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me in this episode of the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is a show I enjoy doing, man. I have a lot of fun doing this, and I want to thank you guys for hanging in there with me, for asking really wonderful questions, keeping it fun, because that's really what matters. So if you guys need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.